So our next story is about it's nearly impossible for Zimbabwe to rise again. Now that the cat is out of the bag, and we now all know that the main opposition leader in Zimbabwe, Nelson Chamisa, is pursuing a dialogue prospect with disputed President Emmerson Mnangagwa, and he is also lobbying SADC to facilitate that against the SADC resolution for fresh elections to be held in Zimbabwe to resolve the political crisis. We can now dissect the chances of Zimbabwe becoming a normal country again. Zimbabwe has no leadership both in the so-called ruling party and also, of course, the opposition. ZANU-PF has messed up the country from just after independence under Robert Mugabe up until now under the current disputed President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who presided over the Gukurahundi in Matubeleland. We know more than 20,000 people died during the Gukurahundi. That was ZANU-PF. But where was the opposition? What did they do about it? It's quite clear ZANU-PF has made a lot of mistakes in their reign up until now. The question is, what has the opposition done to capitalize on those mistakes? In 2008, the powerful Zimbabwe opposition, the MDC, agreed to get into the Government of National Unity, GNU, when ZANU-PF was in the tight corner, and the MDC clearly had the upper hand. Before that, in the election itself, the MDC presidential candidate Morgan Tsvangirai was leading Robert Mugabe 43.3% and with 48.7%, but he pulled out from the runoff. Tsvangirai later said he did to save the people from being massacred by Mugabe's ZANU-PF, but a lot of people have been killed already and thousands have been maimed. It is very important to note that Morgan Tsvangirai contested in the runoff if he had contested in the runoff with Robert Mugabe, the MDC would have ended up the ZANU-PF terror in the terror of reign in the 2007. Yes, it's very clear. If Morgan Tsvangirai had contested in the runoff with Robert Mugabe, the MDC would have ended the ZANU-PF terror reign in 2007. The opposition in Zimbabwe want reality in it. They want victory. They want victory over a 44-year-old ZANU-PF dictatorship on a silver platter. Nelson Chamisa is today seeking a dialogue with Mnangagwa and his ZANU-PF party. That is to his electoral victory in August elections in Zimbabwe last year. Dialogue with Mnangagwa? Like seriously? If there was sound opposition leadership in Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF would have been history by now. For a good number of years, the opposition have been fighting itself. But even though splits in organizations are common and a good leader usually emerges from those difficult situations, I think all Nelson Chamisa should have done was to stand his ground in the Citizen Coalition for Change. He is the founder of the party. It was his. There were several ways he could have utilized the asset, his authority. One of which was to just call for a Congress. Who would vote against Chamisa in Zimbabwe? Who would vote against Nelson Chamisa in Zimbabwe? Who? Only Chavangu can do that. Only Chavangu can do that. But the biggest culprits in the Zimbabwe political crisis are the people of Zimbabwe themselves, who have allowed ZANU-PF to go on like this. Why have they allowed a situation where the opposition is this weak against ZANU-PF? Why would we allow an opposition that is that weak against ZANU-PF? We are the problem. We should stand by our opposition. If we see that the opposition is weak, we stand by the opposition to defeat the elephant and to address the elephant in the room, which is ZANU-PF. So Chamisa is saying, if there is any of the dialogue, it should be a proper dialogue, which means he can take the offer if it's done in a proper way to save Zimbabwe. As Tsvangirai once said, I did this to save the Zimbabweans. from being killed by ZANU-PF. So tell us what you think about this in the comment section. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next dialogue.